There is an animal on the reef that is simultaneously the most beautiful creature in the sea and the fastest assassin the ocean has ever evolved. She is 15 centimeters long. Her shell is peacock green, electric cyan, volcanic red, and sun yellow. Her eyes are bright chartreuse marbles mounted on stalks that rotate independently. She looks like something a child would paint. This is Odontodactylus scyllarus, the Peacock Mantis Shrimp. She has two appendages folded under her head the way a praying mantis folds its arms. Inside each of those appendages is a spring. When the spring fires, her club accelerates from 0 to 23 meters per second in less than 3 milliseconds. The peak force is about 1,500 newtons. The acceleration is over 10,000 times the force of gravity. At the moment of impact, something even stranger happens. The club moves through water so fast it causes the water itself to cavitate. A bubble of near vacuum forms, collapses, and in that collapse, the water briefly reaches almost 4,000 degrees Celsius. For a microsecond, a tiny piece of the ocean turns to sun. The crab she was aiming at is hit twice, once by the shell-breaking club, and once by the sonoluminescent flash of water remembering it was a star. Then there are her eyes. Your eye has 3 types of color receptors. The Peacock Mantis Shrimp has 16. She sees ultraviolet. She sees circular polarization. She sees colors we do not have words for. Nobody knows what her world actually looks like. We cannot translate it. She lives in a small burrow on a shallow coral reef. Solitary, territorial, reclusive. Aquariums used to display them. Then people noticed the mantis shrimps kept cracking the thick glass of the tanks. They have been quietly removed from most collections. She does not know she is beautiful. She does not know she is a weapon. She is simply a small crustacean sitting at the mouth of a sand burrow in tropical water, eyes swiveling independently, waiting for dinner to walk past. And that is more than enough.